this kind of cancer in your body and you kind of panic. It's a real wake-up call. How can I simplify my life? How can I make things easier? Hey, MeechMo here, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're getting a bit personal and we're talking about finances and something that happened to me in 2017 that I wanted to share with you. So back in 2017, I was 49, just going along like everybody else, working hard, doing the day-to-day stuff, and I was diagnosed. I'd actually gone to the gym and had one of those tests where they test your leg and your neck and they sort of tell you how good your heart is. Anyway, they found a little lump in my neck. The girl said, "Oh, you've got a little lump in there and you should go and get it checked out." I was like, okay, yeah, I'll go. And turned out it was cancer. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, and it didn't just change my health, it changed everything about my life, how I looked at my finances, my work and my family, and it made me reset and rethink about the future. When I was diagnosed with cancer, you kind of panic and you're not kind of sure what is going on. You've got this kind of cancer in your body and it's in my neck at the time, and you kind of just want to get it out, and so you're kind of panicking all the time and you're on edge, and you can't do that. You've got to let the doctors talk to you, and you've got to go through the process, and it's a difficult process with your mind and how are you going to live? Are you going to survive? What's going to happen? I remember coming out of the doctors and just thinking, this is it, this is sort of the end of my life, and what am I going to do? And sort of felt that it was my own stupid fault as well, because up to that point, I'd arrived in Australia with my wife, and at the time I had one child, one daughter, and we didn't have anything. We didn't have any money. We had a little bit of savings, but what we wanted to do was make a go of it here in Australia and really try and get ahead and get on. And from 2002, I just worked my ass off, basically. Worked really hard, and I got a job with an emergency services, filming stuff for them, doing photography and video and things. And because there's only a couple of us doing it in this agency, we were covering sort of 5 agencies, we worked really, really hard. So I think in the first year or two we were doing sort of 400 jobs a year, which was massive. I also moved up to Tambourine Mountain, where I live now, into a house that required a lot of renovations and a lot of maintenance, and so I probably did too much. I was working all weekends. I was coming home at night, painting and working on the house and just really running myself into the ground. And eventually, you might not want to know it, your head might not want to know it, but your body sort of tells you that it's time to sort of stop, And that happened to me, when I got the diagnosis. And it really, really knocked me. And I sort of had to really think about, 1, getting better, and 2, going forward, what that meant, I looked at my finances with my wife, and we had very little super. We had very little savings. We sort of living week to week. And I thought, I've got to get myself in order here. I've got to get my finances sorted out. I've got to get my super sorted out. I've got to get my health sorted out, which was the first priority. And we went about tackling that, and it was pretty difficult. It was pretty difficult those first few months trying to get through the actual cancer. I had an operation which went well, and they found the cancer. Actually, they couldn't tell me it was definitely cancer until they took it out, and then they said, yes, it is cancer. And then they said, we got half of your thyroid out, would you like the other half out? Because otherwise it could come back and you don't want that. So I said, yeah, sure, let's take the other one out. And what were the consequences of that? Well, it meant that I wouldn't have a thyroid and I'd have to be on medication for the rest of my life. I thought that was a good trade-off, to be quite honest with you, taking medications every day, it's not been a problem, and it's worked itself out. So that's been good. My finances were a bit more difficult. I had to really look at what we were doing, what we actually did to get it going. I was earning pretty good money. I'd also invested in a investment property. So that was something that was on the back of my mind. I had two that I was running, plus my house. And how did I do it? Well, that's another story. We can get into that at another time. Anyway, we had these two investment properties. We had this house that we were renovating. There was this very, very busy work-life balance, traveling 2 hours a day each way to get to work didn't help. So what we actually did was we thought I'd really need to sort of get my health back in order. We changed all our diets and changed the food that we were eating and sort of stripped everything back and went back to basics. What I actually wanted to do was really just to simplify everything and just get rid of the stress and get rid of as much as I could. So pretty easy decision to sell the properties. There wasn't much capital in those. I didn't make a lot of money from them. It did make a little bit money from that. We got rid of the properties, we downsized we actually went into a rental for 6 months just to get our heads sorted out. And then following that, we got a book about the barefoot investor. He's an Australian sort of financial guy who is very popular in Australia, and his book was a kind of step-by-step process of getting your finances back, and I really recommend anybody have a look at that and really start the process of working through that, especially if you've got debt and your lifestyle, your bracket creep, all that kind of stuff comes into it. It's worth getting and reading through, even if you get it from the library or if you buy it, it's not a lot of money. Simplifying everything was great. I mean, we got rid of everything. There's no more stress, no more maintenance to do on the other houses, no more, getting calls from the real estate agent to come and fix things. It was just all gone. And then we decided to sell our main property and downsize. Again, we went into the rental and we just had 6 months doing nothing. And we thought, we're going to do a small property with less maintenance, less cleaning, just something that was going to make our lives a bit easier. And we found a little 3-bedroom house with a little swimming pool as well, and that was absolutely brilliant. We settled into that. We changed our diet, we changed our lifestyle, and we worked through the Barefoot Investor book and started to get our finances in order. Having a health scare really clarifies everything. It's like jumping into a cold bath of ice. You really do change everything. It's a real wake-up call. And the one question I started to ask myself from that point, from getting better, was how can I simplify my life? How can I make things easier? How can I put things on auto and have things running in the background and not stressing about stuff so much, because I didn't want the stress to kill me. My wife didn't want that, and my kids didn't want that either. I certainly didn't want that. Looking back at that, I did have some questions. I questioned myself about what I'd been doing in my 40s. I came to Australia, I was 33, spent sort of 10, 15 years just grafting really hard, working hard. It was a real sacrifice, to come over here without family and friends, to leave all that behind, start a new life. And I don't wish that I'd done anything differently. I just wish that I'd sort of read more and did a bit more research on the basics, finance and living in Australia and how that would work, because it was a real struggle. especially not having grandparents for the kids, no real friends that you could lean on to help out. It was just me and my wife and the kids, just getting through it. So why does this series exist? Why am I doing this series, and why I'm going to talk about other stuff over the next few episodes about some of my finances and things like that? It's really, it's for people who've been through the same stuff as me. It's for people who've got money issues, who are grappling with their finances, who maybe have had health diagnosis, those wanting to just simplify their life, make things easier, take the stress away. I think we're all like that in a way. We've all got stress, we've all got anxiety, we've all got challenges in life. And I think, if I can help someone or some people that have been through it like I have, then why not? Why not share it with you? I can share it with you here. You're my family here, and we can go on the journey together, and we can learn. And I look forward to sort of listening to your feedback, listening to your comments, and telling me, about your life and what's happened to you. So thanks again, for joining me. I look forward to, talking with you and sharing, my life. I'm 56 now. I'm looking at retiring soon. My finances, thankfully, are in order. I'll share that over the next few weeks and let you know some of the challenges, some of the things that we've done, how we've done it, what we did different, things that made a difference to us, and what position we're in now. We're actually in a really good position now. Financially, I would say financially secure. We have some options on the table. We've got good super balances. We've got savings. We've got no debt except our mortgage and our investment property mortgage. And over the coming weeks, I'll share how we did it and why we did it and what was involved. So thanks for sitting through the whole video, and I'm really glad you're here, and I'm really glad to be sharing my story with you. See you in the next one. If you like the content, hit subscribe. Really appreciate it.